Welcome to The Explainer. So, if you're an academic researcher, a linguist, or an educator in the English language teaching space, you know exactly how fiercely competitive the publication landscape is right now. It's intense. Today, we're going to decode the absolute highest demand ELT research topics projected for the 2026 to 2028 window. We're looking at exactly what top-tier international journals are actively hunting for, and we'll break down the data to give you a massive advantage in your next research project.
Right, so it's the most crucial question every researcher faces, isn't it? What will ELT journals actually publish next? You know the feeling. You can spend months, sometimes literally years, designing a study, crunching the data, writing up the manuscript, only to get hit with a rejection simply because your topic doesn't align with what editors care about right now. Finding a highly publishable topic in such a crowded academic field, it's not just about doing good science anymore. It's about strategic alignment. You've got to know exactly where the field is heading before it even gets there. Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. We're going to chunk these trends categorically. First, the future of ELT research. Second, the generative AI revolution. Third, digital analytics and assessment. Fourth, corpus-based instruction. And finally, number 5, finding your very own research niche. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the future of ELT research, and decoding that top 10 list.
Okay, here we go. This is the master list of what editors at those big, prestigious journals, think System, TESOL Quarterly, Call, the World Journal of English Language, this is what they're actively prioritizing. These are the top 10 topics with huge international appeal for 2026 to 2028. Notice how the top 5, the ones rated very high for publication potential, are AI-assisted academic writing, ChatGPT and ELT, AI feedback versus teacher feedback, prompt engineering, and AI literacy among English teachers. Then the next 5, rated high, cover things like learning analytics, corpus-based writing, digital assessment, teacher readiness for AI, and computational linguistics. Now, a super important caveat here, straight from our source data. Absolutely no topic guarantees an acceptance letter, right? These ratings reflect current journal appetites. At the end of the day, getting accepted still entirely depends on your study's originality, methodological rigor, and execution. But I will say, studies in these specific 10 areas are highly likely to get an editor's attention. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer, absolute dominance of one specific field. When you look at the breakdown, a staggering 60%, literally 6 out of the 10 top topics, are strictly related to artificial intelligence. That's the entire top 5, plus topic number 9. The other 40% is a mix of analytics, digital assessment, and corpus studies. The message from the editorial boards here, it is loud and clear. AI is not just some passing fad. It is fundamentally rewriting the playbook for applied linguistics and language teaching research. Which brings us right to section 2. The generative AI revolution. We'll be looking at topics 1 through 5, plus number 9. Take a look at topic 3 on our list here, comparing AI feedback versus teacher feedback in ESL academic writing. So what's the big so what behind this one? Well, journals are totally swamped with opinion pieces. They don't want those anymore. They are desperate for robust, rigorous comparisons. They want empirical, hard data on how human grading actually stacks up against machine feedback. Does the AI catch different takes of errors than we do? How do the students actually feel about the feedback they're getting? Does one method lead to better long-term improvement in writing proficiency than the other? These comparative experimental studies, they have incredibly high publication potential because they speak directly to the immediate, everyday anxieties of language educators all over the world. Then we've got topic 4, prompt engineering in ELT. Prompt engineering is essentially defined as the skills required by students and teachers to effectively interact with AI tools to produce high-quality English writing. Think about this for a second. We are moving way beyond just asking, are students using AI? Actually, scratch that. Everyone knows they are. Now the question is measuring how well they use it. This is a totally new digital competence. Measuring prompt engineering skills and their direct impact on writing quality among university students, that is a massive, incredibly publishable research gap right there. But hold on, it is absolutely not just about the students. Topics 5 and 9 on our list shift the microscope entirely over to the educators. We're talking about developing AI literacy among pre-service English teachers and measuring teachers' readiness to actually integrate generative AI into their classrooms. This is so vital. Journals want the data on professional development needs, the ethical challenges, and honestly, the shifting identity of the teacher in this tech-heavy era. If you can analyze how teachers are adapting, or, maybe how they're struggling to adapt to this revolution, you've got a study with huge international appeal. Okay, moving right along to Section 3, Digital Analytics and Assessment. So while generative tools are definitely stealing the spotlight, the actual mechanisms of how we assess students are evolving just as quickly. There are exactly 3 specific topics in our top 10 that make up this next tier of high publication potential. That's Topic 6, Learning Analytics, Topic 8, Digital Assessment, and Topic 10, Computational Linguistics. Now, they might not have the flashy, mainstream hype of ChatGPT, but make no mistake, they represent the absolute backbone of institutional education. What we're witnessing here is a critical, industry-wide shift away from traditional one-and-done point-in-time testing. The research trend is pivoting heavily toward continuous monitoring. Like, how do we actually use learning analytics to track English language progress over an entire semester? How do we roll out digital portfolio assessment in a way that actually works? Journals are hungry for studies showing how these digital tools monitor student engagement, offer dynamic assessment, and ultimately track achievement in a much more holistic, data-driven way.
Let's quickly pivot to Section 4, corpus-based instruction, which is Topic 7 on our list.
And, this brilliantly highlights a fundamental truth about academic publishing. Robust, quantitative research, it literally never goes out of style. Corpus-based writing instruction remains a highly sought-after area. This is a fantastic opportunity to do learner corpus analysis and error analysis for ESL learners. When you analyze giant databases of actual student writing to find patterns or map pragmatic competence or identify specific meta-discourse markers, you are handing editors exactly what they want: objective, data-rich insights with super clear pedagogical implications for higher ed. Finally, Section 5, finding your research niche and tailoring these big trends. Look, knowing the top 10 list is great, but it's really only half the battle. The real magic happens when you tailor these global trends directly to your local context. Let's move to STEM and see how this builds. There's an exact formula for this. Step 1, select a broad trend from the top 10, let's say AI-assisted writing. Step 2, integrate your own interdisciplinary expertise. Maybe you have a background in engineering education or computational linguistics. Step 3, formulate a highly tailored research question right at the intersection of those two worlds. You're basically narrowing the global focus to create a manageable, highly original study just for you. Let me show you exactly what that looks like in the real world. Based on our source data, if you happen to have a background combining ELT, technology, and engineering education, here are 5 perfectly tailored, Scopus-ready topics. First, the effect of AI-assisted academic writing on the research writing skills of engineering students. Second, prompt engineering competence and academic writing performance among ESL engineering students. Third, computational linguistics-based error analysis of engineering students' academic writing. Fourth, teachers' AI literacy and readiness for generative AI integration in English language teaching. And fifth, comparing human and AI feedback in improving academic writing among Indian engineering students. Do you see how incredibly powerful that is? By simply combining a massive global trend with a specific demographic, like engineering students, and layering in a specific methodology, you carve out a research niche that is highly original and perfectly aligned with what the international journals are begging for. Which brings us to our final thought for today. If we look just beyond this top 10 list, over to the emerging areas in our source material, we're seeing topics like English language teaching for Industry 5.0. The whole landscape of education is shifting rapidly toward this deep, seamless integration between human beings and advanced tech. The journals are basically handing us a roadmap of exactly what they need to publish to understand this shift. The data's there. The topics are waiting for you. So how will you adapt your research for Industry 5.0? Take these insights, design a rock-solid methodology, and go get published. Thanks for joining this explainer, and happy researching.